Well, hello everyone. Welcome in the Deák17 Youth Art Gallery to the finissage event, the online guided tour of our exhibition, Tel-AVIV White City. Let me introduce the Israeli curators who are going to guide us around the rooms, the virtual rooms. Professor Architect Nitza Szmuk and architect Tal Eyal. Welcome you. Well, our exhibition show features plenty of photos of the buildings of the district named White City of Tel Aviv, which has a collection of 4,000 residences and mixed-function buildings built in the 1930s and 40s in the international style, or if we can say, maybe in the Bauhaus style. In 2003, the UNESCO declared this area as a World Heritage Site, as I know. And after that, the curators created a fantastic and rich and very spectacular traveling exhibition to show it in different parts of the world. So after London, Paris, Rome, and other places, in this year, this fantastic material can be seen in Budapest, in Deák17 Gallery. Well, as you know, since these times of COVID, we have been publishing our exhibitions, not just in the gallery, but in a virtual way as well. So after the closing of the live show in the gallery, you can enjoy and relive the experience of the excellent photos, models, films, and three-dimensional animations also on our website. And now also this virtual platform will be what we will use to walk around the exhibition hall. So now I say bye and I give the floor to the curators, and we are very curious about all the informations.
Good evening, everybody. And thank you for the great opportunity to have this exhibition online. As Greta said, we are having this traveling exhibition in order to show Tel Aviv and the historic and wonderful buildings and ensembles of Tel Aviv. And we created this exhibition in 3 parts, and we would like to explain a little bit of each part, and we can walk around and see the exhibition. The first, maybe a big scale part is the urban fabric, and we wanted to show the evolution of Tel Aviv and the logic of that evolution. And we have this wonderful layout of fabric thanks to Sir Patrick Geddes, that designed a plan in 1925 as part of his work for the British mandate. And that was at the time governed in Palestine. And his idea of creating the new and designing the new part of Tel Aviv was of a garden city. But as a special idea of garden city, he created a cell that can be multiplied. And in each cell, there is a center of a garden or a public space, and it's surrounded by a building. And in his plan, he created 60 different cells that can be enlarged and multiplied as the city grows. And this plan was approved by the Tel-AVIV municipality, and his plan was implemented almost as it was designed, which is something very special for that time.
With slight differences, because only 30 cells, only 30 centers has the public garden in the center, and the other 30 not, because the municipality was not able to buy the lands, enough lands for this purpose. But still, the center of Tel Aviv is divided in 60 different parts. All of it's not repeatable. They are not repeatable. It's not the same cell. Each cell is different from the other for the reason that he wanted the citizen of each. It's not a lot. It's block of each block. Cell is a block surrounded by main street. The purpose of his plan was that each block, the citizen of each block will identify with their own block. And it facilitates also the orientation in the town, because it's not like in Brasilia that each block is similar to the other, and you can lost yourself and not find yourself along the main streets because they are similar. Here, each block is different, and also the citizen of each block feel unique and part of this block. And first is the identification, and second is the orientation. So it's never boring here, not in a sense of urban design, and also not in sense of vivid life, because Tel Aviv is very vivid. Across the main two streets that across the city from south to north, and he designed them as a commercial street. Initially, only two streets were very long, but two streets, and all the other streets around, besides the main streets with their blocks, are residential. Therefore, inside each block, the life is very quiet and green, thanks to the inner garden, and also thanks to the private garden around each building. So Tel Aviv is not a city garden, but it is a green city, and most of the streets are quiet, except the main street, that initially there were only two, and today there are a little bit more, but initially there were only Dizengoff and Ben Yehuda commercial streets.
Maybe you will say something about the ring of boulevard?
The ring of the boulevard, he continued the ring of the boulevard, because when Geddes planned the city, most part of the Rothschild Boulevard were already built and planned in a former plan, and he continued it along the watershed. So the boulevard that goes around the city are going on the border of the watershed, and the best lot are around along these boulevards. The best building, the best lots, the big lots, and the big apartments. It's not the same in the quiet street, that there the life are more modest. We have to know that we see the models, and the models represent three different streets. On the left is the main street, the main commercial street of Dizengoff Street. This is the widest street, 24 meter large between the two facades. The second is a main street that is narrow more than the main street. It's 20 meter wide between the two facades. And the third model that we see now, it is the narrow street. The distance between the facade is 16 meters. So the quiet street or the narrow street, the residential street, that if you don't have a right address to go and visit there, you are not crossing them. Therefore, they are green and quiet. And the main street, they are more populated, and the main street are very populated because all the commerce and the traffic is on the main street.
Geddes also designed public spaces, like the photo we saw just before the Dizengoff Square, and what he called the Acropolis that was part of the cultural center of the city. And as you can see from the historic photos, Tel Aviv is situated by the sea, and his idea of bringing the breeze of the sea into the city was by designing streets. The sea is on the west side of the city, so designing streets from west to east, which are the streets that brings in the breeze, and the main arteries north to south that Nitza mentioned before, were the big commercial streets. And you can see from the photos that the building is situated not like in big cities in Europe. They are situated each one on a different lot, surrounded by a green belt, passepartout of greenery. And so the building gets to have four four facades for orientation and for the ventilation. And that what helps to have a front yard and
backyard.
And that gives the greenery and a backyard that also is usually green. That really shows the center of the city, and what was part of the nomination.
Now the arrow was on the Acropolis. That this is the Acropolis, where is the concert hall and the theater and everything. And what he designated as the Acropolis of the city. It is one of the highest point also topographically of the city, and therefore is very aerated.
The Dizengoff Square was part of the design of the master plan of Geddes, and there was a competition of designing the facade of the square. Genia Averbuch, who was one of the women architects to design during the 30s and the 40s building in Tel Aviv, won the competition of designing this important square that during the year was altered because of traffic problems. And you can see in the video of the Dizengoff Square that is in the exhibition how it went back to be almost as the original square just recently, thanks to a very big work that the municipality of Tel Aviv is doing in order to bring Tel Aviv back to its glory years. Maybe we will go to the European influence, which is just on the other end of the of this. Great, Nitza.
Okay, what we had to justify to UNESCO why Tel Aviv is deserve to be part of the list of the World Heritage, and the main thing was that all the international centers that we know in the world are at first not large as Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv, the number is huge of 4,000 buildings that was built in less than 20 years. We have Casablanca, we have Miami Beach, we have Sabaudia in Italy. We have Dessau, we have the universities in South America. And in each place, there is one or two influence of the modern movement that was raised in Europe. Only Tel Aviv is a mix of all the European influence. Rational architecture, how they called it in Italy, the modern movement in France, the modern architecture from the East countries of Europe. Because it was a land of immigrants, and each of them, of the architects, came to Tel Aviv from other countries with other influences. Most of them learned in East Europe. Part of them, not a big part of them, in Germany. But many young architects left Tel Aviv and went to study in Belgium, in France, and in Italy, and also in Vienna, and then came back. Each of them with another knowledge and another with another style, and all this mix of influences did Tel Aviv so rich of details, and it's not repeatable. We put on the table a few examples from many countries in Europe to see the match between the European architecture and our local architecture. And even we found that the big plan of Jenny Averbuch, who won the competition, it was probably influenced by a competition that was done for Alexanderplatz in Berlin and was not executed. Was won in Berlin as a competition, but was not executed. We see that she used the same streamline around the circle, the building around the
Dizengoff circle.
Around the Dizengoff circle, and it's the influences is astonishing.
We have example also for interiors,
yeah.
And for what was very much common in Europe after the war, the habitant for workers, the cooperative workers that also was very much fit to the political and state of mind of the people in Palestine at the time, to have a cooperative housing. And so we have cooperative housing in Tel Aviv and other cities, but very much different from the local urban tissue. They really stand out because they are executing an idea of big lots, of large scale, of buildings inside the small scale building in the same area.
Normally with inner garden, with a big inner garden for the use of the children of the inhabitants of the social housing. And they are around the center of the city. They are not on the outskirts of the city. They are in the center of the city. The initiative was of the Labor Party. Later was called the Labor Party, and they are still working as a cooperative. And they are very similar to those cooperatives that were built around Vienna, in Berlin, and in Holland, and so on. And they are still existing. And they are all listed, and none of them are restored yet. But we hope that in the future they
One more part of the European influence that was so much was seen in the building was the knowledge and the know-how of materials, especially of different kind of plasters. That was really part of the knowledge that those architects brought with them from other places. There was Tyner. Nitza, do you want to say a few words about Tyner?
Tyner came from Czechoslovakia, I think from Brno or from Prague, and brought with him the knowledge. He was not the only one, there are others, but he prepared the mixture for the plaster, and there are others that they did the same, but he was the more famous. So the kind of the plasters that we have in the city, we cannot count them. The mixture, the way of elaborated them, it's not only in Tel Aviv, it's also in Haifa. In Haifa we see different kind of elaboration of the plasters. And going around Europe, I found imitation of that. We are imitating them, but I found the counterpart in Belgium and many examples also in Czechoslovakia. It was very touching to see the same workmanship, how they realized to pass in from the know-how to pass it from Europe to us, and you see it more executed in Palestine in Israel and Tel Aviv and Haifa than you see today in Europe, because in Europe it's vanished, and here not, because we continue to use them. We continue to use them, very little in the new buildings, but some architects adopted it also for new buildings. They are very resistant, this kind of plaster, and they last at least 50 years if they are not damaged by people. So we are very proud of it. We are very proud of it. We both pushed to reuse it again, and we obliged all the architects that are doing restoration to repeat the same plaster as it was in the original.
You can see the different kind of stones and added like mica to the plaster. The mica, when you mix it in the pasta, it glitters. So, and with the Israeli sun, the plaster looks like it's shining. And just a small reminder that the idea of the modern movement was no decorations. And this plaster was one way of showing a little bit of a kind of decoration to those buildings, to maybe to focus on the pilotis, or on the balconies, to give kind of a different look to each part of the building.
We have to note, I saw it the same also in Budapest, but we have to note that who build the buildings are owners of the buildings. They build the buildings to
Themselves.
For themselves, but to rent apartments and to live from the income of the rent. They brought money with themselves from Poland and Germany, and they invested the money to build the building. It's not public architecture. It's private architecture. Public buildings were very few. Schools and synagogues and that's all. Later on, when Israel was established after 48, the boom of the public buildings initiated after the British Mandate finished his life. So Israel find money to build public buildings, but most of the white city are private buildings that were built for the income of the families that were rich in Europe before the war and brought their money to be here and to have income for life without working normally.
We arrived to the third part of the exhibition, which is the local architecture language of Tel Aviv. And if we can sum it up, what we mean by that how did the architect translated the ideas of the modern European movement vision to the local climate and the local necessities, and how, for example, how they took the idea of the ribbon window and made it into a balcony. So here we picked up 11 buildings.
We picked up 11 buildings that are each of them from different years. The first one on the right is from 31. And the last one, the auditorium hall is from 57, very late modernism. So each period, the last one is from 59. And the short films below are analyzing the peculiarity of each building and the way, and try to explain the way of thinking and analyzing the building by the architect himself, what was his purposes. So it helps.
We're going to see Engel House. Maybe Nitza, you can explain the idea.
The Engel House is the first building on Piloti in Tel Aviv. Was planned in 34, and we see the lot with the part of the lot that is erased on Piloti, and the free land connect the
boulevard to the garden, the inner garden of the building.
The inner garden, and allow also to ventilate the other corp of the building that stay behind the garden. It's the same building. The building is on form of
U-shape.
Of U-shape. So the wind are coming from the west. The west wind, the breeze are coming from the sea after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and breeze all the city. Today less because we have the higher building along the sea, but at that time it did a great job of ventilation for the whole city.
We also want to show you the Man Auditorium that was the Man Auditorium is a building that was is our concert hall, built in 57 in what was designed by Geddes as the Acropolis of culture. It is a very amazing building that wants to express the idea of that the culture belongs to the people. If you come from the street, you have no stairs. These stairs are coming from a side street, but the main entrance, you walk in, you don't go up and go into, it's not sitting on a pedestal or a podium. So the entrance is what we call a democratic entrance on the street level. You enter, and you don't have different sections of the inner volume of the concert hall. There are no main and then different upper seating areas. So everybody, the idea of the equality of the sittings is also in the inner halls, and you see the concrete, you see the beams, you see the columns, and you see the idea of the modern movement to free the plan and free the facades from its mass. We want to show you also the balconies, which Tel Aviv is very famous of them. As we said before, the idea of turning the ribbon windows, the European ribbon windows, into balconies was a solution that was as an adaptation to the Israeli climate. We have all kinds of.
We divided this panel, big panel, in 4 parts. We divided the balcony in 4 parts, and we gave for each section we gave a few examples. The first part, the first line of the balconies are talking about the evolution of the balcony. The first photo on my right is the simple balcony, the balconies that we see at the beginning of the 30s, very simple. After that, the balcony that imitated the railing of the Bahas balconies. And the third one is the streamline that the balcony creates that imitate the ribbon window, and like that expose the room behind to the ventilation, and also shade them that the sun cannot enter directly to the rooms. And the late balcony that is half inside the volume, half out of the volume. The fifth one is the not regular plan of the balcony, and it was planned that there will be a place for the table for playing cards in the evening. And the last one, or the last one in the photo is late building of the 50s, how they used it as repeatable balconies. The second line are all the means that they used for the ventilation, the slits that or the holes, and many means that they used for ventilating the inner part of the balconies. The third line is the balconies that change the volume of the building, actually, because they came out with round lines, and they are part of the changing of the volume.
Maybe it's a place to say something about Mendelssohn.
Say?
We have lots of rounded lines of balconies in Tel Aviv, and we call them even Mendelssohnian balconies. Erich Mendelssohn, one of the greatest architects of the modern movement, that spent few years in Palestine and also built in Palestine, was very much imitated and influenced the local architecture. He always used rounded lines and soft lines, and those balconies were named after him.
Our imitation of his architecture, and he was very angry that the local architects use his motifs and adopted them. He was not very pleased for that. The last line is the decorative railing of the balconies. They are attached to the corp of the building as a decorative part. And most of them are a little bit Art Deco, and it's not really the modern movement, but we have a lot of buildings like that, and we embrace them with all together. So we analyzed all types of the balconies, and that's the 4 groups that we created.
On this part, we show a little bit about the conservation plan of Tel Aviv. That was part of our job at the municipality, and was after that part of the nomination for UNESCO. You can see the plan of the nomination. But on this plan, if you look closely, you can see all the listed buildings marked.
And the gray part is the part of the city that was nominated by UNESCO. The yellow part is the buffer zone that his task is to protect the nomination area. Actually, the municipality of Tel Aviv, to facilitate the understanding of the citizens, declared that all the gray part and the yellow part are nominated to avoid the misunderstanding. So this is one of the largest area nominated by UNESCO. Normally, the nomination area are smaller.
When you enter the exhibition, but it is one before the last stop, you can see fragments of today's architecture. I mean, the historic buildings, but taken today. Those colored photos of windows, staircase, details of the city, and those details are part of the essence of of the buildings. We have lots of wooden windows and shutters, and wooden railings along with metal work. And
again, they are not repeatable. They are not repeatable. Each building has another details, and it's a long walk, and entering the lobby, the entrance lobby, and staircases, and everywhere you find another details, and it is ponds in the courtyards for
decorative
ponds for goldfishes and
water lilies.
And water lily that I never saw, but I believe that once they were.
and maybe it's a place also to say that those materials arrived from Europe as part of initiative of the Zionist transport to help people to elope from Germany and other places in Europe that they couldn't take out money, but there was an agreement that they can take out materials, goods, instead of taking money. So we find in Tel Aviv lots of, for example, tiles from Czechoslovakia and Germany. And we find a lot of wood that we don't have in Israel, but that came from Europe. We find different decorative glass that they used for the staircase windows and doors that came from Belgium and
England also.
And England. So
they bought materials from all over Europe, but this agreement was done only with the Jewish family from Germany. It was done between the Zionist group and the German government. So
we are lucky
the local builders had the opportunity to use the German money of the Jewish families, and with this money to buy materials and to bring it to Israel. So this is the reason of the richness that we found here. With the years, the details are disappearing. It's very difficult to keep attention and on these little details. They are slowly disappearing, but still in the restored building we find them, and hoping that it will still remain. Yes.
We want to invite you to see the film, a short film that we did initially for the nomination of Tel Aviv as a World Heritage for UNESCO, and it has in a short time, it's explained the roots of Tel Aviv, the idea of the establishment of the city, the international style, and the conservation process.
And a few figures are describing Tel Aviv from their point of view. And it was one of the things that we added to the nomination dossier that I hope that convinced UNESCO that we deserved the title.
World Heritage Site. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot for your initiative. It's not so obvious that the intention to have a film like that and explanation like that, and it will help us also to keep the memory of this exhibition. We enjoyed it very much to be there and to build it together with you.
Thank you.
We thank you for your guiding tour, and I would like to thank you your work to bring this fantastic exhibition in our gallery. And also there is a name, Zsófi Vanya, who is my colleague, and I would like to thank for her also her work. And now we will see a nice film about the whole exhibition and the interview with you, with the creators. Thank you for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Greta.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
תל אביב הייתה עיר של חולות, ומעל החולות התחילו לצמוח בניינים. ולאט לאט התחילו לקום הקוביות, הצורות הפשוטות, הגיאומטריות, ולאט לאט נוצרו רחובות, נוצרה עיר, העיר הלבנה.
זו העיר העברית הראשונה. המהגרים הגיעו לכאן ומצאו קרטה ביאנקה, מצאו חולות. מרכז העיר וצפון העיר לא היו בנויים עדיין, והתנועה הציונית אימצה בסופו של דבר בשתי ידיים את העקרונות של המודרניזם.
תל אביב עיר מאוד מיוחדת במרקם האורבני שלה. זאת עיר מודרנית, שהיא עיר גנים במהותה. לא עוד עיר חשוכה, צפופה של המאה ה-19, אלא עיר פתוחה, נינוחה, מוארת.
הבתים הלבנים קבעו את הכלל. אלה היו בתים שבנו אותם אדריכלים שבאו מאירופה, והביאו אותם את הסגנון הבינלאומי.
הפשטות הצורנית שבה דגלה התנועה המודרנית, פישטו את כל הליכי הבנייה וזרזו אותם, ואפשרו בתוך זמן קצר ובעלות הרבה יותר נמוכה לתת מענה לפתרון הדיור לכל המהגרים שהגיעו לכאן.
אנשים שבאו להנה רצו ליצור חיים אחרים, חיים פשוטים, חיים לא מקושטים. אנשים הלכו בלי עניבות, אנשים הלכו בחולצות פתוחות, ובמכנסיים קצרים, בסנדלים, על החולות, יחייפים.
את התוכנית המיוחדת של תל אביב הגה פטריק גדיס. ב-1925 הוא התבקש לתכנן עיר ל100,000 תושבים, צפונית לתל אביב הקטנה שהייתה קיימת באותה תקופה. עם גלי העלייה בשנות ה-30 מתחילים להיכנס הבתים המודרניים. במרחקים קצובים בית מבית, בגבהים אחידים, קופסאות תלת-ממדיות עם צורות אדריכליות מיוחדות. וכשמסתכלים על צילומי אוויר היסטוריים של תל אביב, רואים פלטו אחיד של עיר בנויה בגובה של 3-4 קומות, כשקל מאוד לזהות גם בצילומים אלכסוניים את האתנחתות של כיכר צינה דיזנגוף, את הפסים של השדרות וכן הלאה. רחובות הרוחב מכניסים את הבריזה של הים לתוך העיר, רחובות האורך מספקים את המסחר, והשכונות עצמן, בדומה לתל אביב הקטנה, חיות את החיים האינטימיים שלהם סביב הגינה הציבורית. בעצם כל התכנון מגיב לרעיונות החדשניים של הארכיטקטורה המודרנית לגבי צורת החיים הנכונה בעיר.
לתל אביב ייתכן שמגיע הכתר של הסגנון הבינלאומי. נבנו כאן בתוך זמן קצר למעלה מ4,000 מבנים בסגנון הבינלאומי. המספר הזה מהווה את הריכוז הגדול ביותר בעולם של מבנים שנבנו בסגנון הזה. המקבץ הזה נמצא במרכז העיר המטרופולינית, כשבכל מקום אחר בעולם המתחמים או מקבצים מהסוג הזה הם קטנים יותר ונמצאים תמיד בפריפריה של הערים הגדולות. בתוך המקבץ הזה יש רצף של בתים באותו הסגנון, ללא התערבות של סגנונות אחרים.
מה שמאוד מוזר, שהסגנון הבינלאומי שנולד בעצם בארצות קרות, בפריז, בבלגיה, במוסקבה, מאוד התאים לים התיכון, כי אם אנחנו רואים את הבתים ביוון, ואנחנו רואים את הבתים בכלל באיביצה, בספרד, הלבן שולט. הלבן מקבל את השמש מאוד חזק, יוצר גם את הצללים החזקים כניגוד לבהיר שהשמש נופלת עליו, ולפעמים הוא גם מסנוור כשהוא מקבל את השמש.
יש כאן ריכוז וייצוג של כל הזרמים של המודרניזם שהיו באירופה בתחילת המאה ה-20, של בית הספר של הבאאז, של מנדלסון, של לקורבוזיה, ההשפעה חזקה מאוד של בית הספר הבלגי. כל אלה התרכזו כאן וביחד ניסו להתאים את העקרונות של התנועה המודרנית לתרבות המקומית ולתנאי האקלים. ההשפעה של הבאאז בתל אביב לא כל כך מורגשת. יש בתל אביב מעט מבנים עם הצורות הגיאומטריות הטהורות שמאפיינות את יוצאי הבאאז. ההשפעה של מנדלסון נראית יותר לעין ומורגשת ברחוב התל אביבי יותר מכל השפעה אחרת. בעיקר בקו הרך, בבתים שמתעגלים, במרפסות המעוגלות. הזרימה האופקית בין הבתים שהיא מאוד חזקה, יוצרת איזשהו דיאלוג, דו-שיח בין הבתים, ומשרה אווירה אופטימית ומאוד ידידותית לעיר. זאב רכטר הושפע מתורתו של לקורבוזיה. הוא בנה את הבית הראשון על עמודים בעיר. הבנייה על עמודים הגדילה את השטחים הירוקים, אפשרה לבריזה לשטוף את העיר, ונתקעה את קומות הקרקע מהאבק והרעש של הרחוב. רוב המבנים בתל אביב נבנו על ידי אדריכלים שסיימו את בית הספר הבלגי, כמו דוב קרמי וגני אברבוך. הלימודים שם יקנו ידע באדריכלות ובהנדסה. הידע הרחב הזה ניכר חזק במבנים שלהם. היצירתיות שלהם גדולה יותר והחופש האינטרפרטציה שלהם הוא רחב מאוד. חופש זה אחד הדברים שמאפיינים את תל אביב.
בעצם אני גיליתי את היופי די מאוחר. פתאום ראיתי שיש לנו פה אוצר שצריך לשמר אותו. אני מסתכל על הפרטים, על הפשטות, איך שצורה מתחברת עם צורה, איזה תשומת לב. אני רואה את האושר של הדברים האלה, וכשאני משווה אותם לדברים הנפלאים שמשמרים אותם בחוץ לארץ, עם גדולי השמות, כמו לקורבוזיה וכמו מיס ון דר רוי, אני רואה שהדוגמאות שישנם כאן הן מדהימות ביופיין.
הרב-גוניות של המקום הזה אין לה אח ורע בשום מקום אחר, ולכן הופך את המקום הזה לבעל חשיבות בינלאומית.
תל אביב מכילה אוסף עצום של מבנים מודרניים על תשתית תכנונית חדשנית. בהיקף הזה אין לה שנייה בעולם.
הדברים שיש לנו כאן זה ירושה תרבותית ממדרגה ראשונה. אנחנו צריכים לשמר את זה מכיוון שזה לא רכוש רק שלנו, זה רכוש של הקהילה הבינלאומית. אם אנחנו נדע לשמור על זה, תל אביב תהפוך למכה של אדריכלות שעשויה להביא לתל אביב אלפי ומיליוני מבקרים שיבואו לראות וליהנות ממה שנעשה כאן בשנות ה-20, ה-30 וה-40.